Hello and welcome. My name is Patrick Mercier. I am the founder of BrkrOps Incorporated and the creator of Truvald, a tool to help you manage, operate, and secure your Active Directory Certificate Services infrastructure. I am an ADCS expert. I have been working with the product for 26 years, its entire life. 10 of those years were as a Microsoft Premier Field Engineer traveling around North America, helping customers secure, operate, evaluate, or rebuild their Active Directory Certificate services. I have seen the good, I've seen the bad, and yes, indeed, I have seen the ugly. I've been up in the middle of the night helping customers recover from catastrophic situations. The common thread through all of this is that the tools are lackluster. ADCS works off of MMCs. MMCs 26 years ago, they were cool. Today, they're chunky, they're bulky, they're single-threaded. They do not work with the agility that we need in today's day and age. So when I left Microsoft, I decided to change that. And I built Truvald, a tool to bridge that gap and to give the operators a better chance at success. I took Truvald to the customer that I'm at as a contractor. My contract is to rebuild their ADCS from the ground up. Part of my contract is to train their staff in how to maintain and operate this beast we've created. Let's just say they're daunted. They have a lot of fear. None of these people are subject matter experts in Active Directory Certificate Services. None of them are PKI experts. So it's frightening to think that they have to maintain this when I'm gone. I was struggling to get them to understand why the daily tasks needed to be done. I was struggling to get them to do certain things that I considered very easy. Enter Truvald, and all of a sudden, a lot of their fears disappeared. Truvald brings together the information, the tools, and the ability to do those things very simply, very fast, and with confidence. Their outlook changed significantly. So I took Truvald to another friend of mine. I've known the guy for 30 years. He's actually one of my best friends. He works for an organization, and he's the ADCS guy for their PKI, and he manages million certs, give or take. So it's big. And I asked him to evaluate Truvald, and I didn't expect much because his organization is paid for one of those big boys, one of those companies that charges hundreds of thousands of dollars a year for their product. So I wasn't really expecting that he'd be all that enamored. But he took Truvald, went and showed it to his coworkers and his team, and comes back to me and says, yeah, we want this. It complements that big tool that we have. It does things the other tool doesn't do. It actually helps us do certain things easier and faster than the other tool. So right off the bat, I knew I was onto something good. Truvald now has a space in the small business that can't afford the big tools, and in the medium and large businesses that could possibly afford the big tools if they so choose. Again, Truvald doesn't do everything they do. They don't do everything Truvald does. So instead of just talking about it, how about we show you Truvald? So right off the bat, we're on my management server. I did say my management server. This is the only server in my lab that has a full desktop experience. Everything else is server core. That's a security decision. So that doesn't matter so much when we have Truvald. Now we launch the interface, and the first thing we're on is the health overview. Reminiscent of the good old dashboards of 20 years ago when we had big screen TVs, and every time one of these lines goes red, people get really excited and start jumping up and down to fix it. As cheesy as it is, it's still super valuable because some of the most critical calls Microsoft got for support with ADCS have to do with things that are completely 100% easily preventable. We just never really had the tool set to show us these things were going to happen. Truvald takes care of that. We now know how many days to expiry on our root CA certificate, so we know when to go and publish a new one. We will get warned when the certificate lifetime reaches its halfway point. The color will change behind that value to warn you that it's time to renew your CA. No reason for you to wait till the last minute wondering why you can't issue a cert that lasts more than a week anymore. So the dashboard is really part of the operations daily health checks, daily things we should be doing with our ADCS infrastructure. Further than that, we can look at pending requests, failed and denied requests. I built a cert finder to help you find a cert across all of your CA's real estate. End of life certs, things that you want to monitor so that they don't expire without you knowing about it. Your PKI groups that you use to manage everything, and even some scheduled tasks to help you manage your infrastructure better. It's all right here in the operational task, and then a link to the documentation. What are these tasks? What should we be doing with them? So this is your bread and butter daily operations section. Moving over to the assessment section, this is what your leadership's probably going to really get into, and your auditors and your compliance officers. This is where we can generate, at the click of a button, a report on the health and security of your environment. You could hire the big guns to do it. You could hire Microsoft. I used to go in, we did 3 days. I took, day 1, we collected the data, completed the survey. Day 2, I analyzed and talked to you guys about things that were missing. And day 3, well, we spent the day going over the report and talking about how to fix certain things. And then I went away. And 6 months later, I could, if I ran across somebody from that customer, nothing's changed. Nothing's happened. The report gets filed away, and because the report falls out of date right away, nothing, nobody looks at it. Because this becomes a daily operational dashboard, it's much easier to pay attention to these things. And you can generate the report each and every day if you want, so that as the environment changes, so does your report. You can change what goes into the report so that you can present to different audiences. So it's all here. One button, generate an assessment report. And each section in here speaks to different components of your ADCS environment. For those of you who know something about this, you might be going, hey, you're missing your CDPs, your certificate revocation distribution points. Well, yes, they're missing, because in my environment, they are part of the DMZ. They're not AD joined, so they're not automatically scanned. So to that end, I'm going to have to collect them with the offline collector. We're going to do that together in a future video, so stay tuned. We also built Truvald to be able to accept risks, so that when you present a report, risks that have been accepted by the organization are flagged as such. Auditors want to know you thought about it, not that you actually did it. So if there's risk has been accepted and you can explain why, which is documented inside of Truvald, the auditors will leave you alone. It's a great win. And a faster way to access event logs on your server that is not the bulky MMC of 20 years ago. So, moving to the statistics page, a critical aspect of this is that this is the stats page that bosses want to hear. They want to know because they feel good the bigger the number, or they want to know that it's actually working. And also because this page is one of the pages we're going to use as we talk about quantum migration. Yes, PQC is coming. Post-quantum cryptography is coming to Active Directory Certificate Services. Microsoft has announced a PM has been assigned to it. They're hoping to release it for ADCS in June of this year, June of 2026. Now, they're frequently late, so let's call it the fall. But regardless, ADCS is getting another 10 years of life because of this. It will be supported until at least 2035, and with Microsoft investing into PQC, the odds are good that it'll be supported farther than that. So ADCS isn't going anywhere. We are going to need to migrate. So let's go take a look at what the documentation section gives us. I didn't create this document just for this. This is scanned from my environment live to give me a roadmap for post-quantum cryptography migration. Right there, there's value, right? No, it's not all the answers, but it's a heck of a lot of them, right? So, and beyond that, I can generate DR recovery docs for your CAs. This is a document that step by step helps you rebuild a certificate authority exactly the way it is today. No guesswork, no assumptions. We scanned, we read all the data, and we're giving it back to you with the step by step on how to rebuild it. That's Truvald. You don't like the documentation, something changes, generate it again. Here's the generate button, there's your document, and we click save and bang, we're done. We've got a document. You want to generate all of the documentation? Here it is. Generate all the docs in one foul swoop. Regenerate every week if you so wish. Generate the documentation section is one of my favorite sections because I hate generating documentation. Now, we'll talk about those in greater depth in future videos. For the time being, though, we also have this beautiful shortcuts page. This is a feel-good page. And yes, it's useful because we still need to access the traditional tool sets on occasion. While I'm thinking of adding Template Manager or something equivalent to it in Truvald, it's not there yet. So we'll still going to need to use the Template Manager.
You want to look at the traditional PKI view dashboard? Well, here it is. If you want to look at your policy management through and work on your GPOs, it's right here. And IIS, because a lot of the supporting roles for ADCS are IIS based, so we need to have access to the IIS manager. When we're looking at settings, we're going to deep dive into the app settings in other videos. I'll show it to you briefly today. But in the user settings, we've got French language support for everything in Truvald. The French interface, the French reports, the French documentation, everything. So for you, my friends in Quebec, I have not forgotten you. Here's your French language support. And then there's dark mode. Who knew it was so popular, but my beta testers wanted a dark mode. So I gave them a dark mode, and you've got it too. We're going to jump over into the help section. Very detailed help. Here's your daily tasks. Here's the tasks you should be doing on a daily basis, explained to you and why they're important. And then we've got all of the other documentation for all of Truvald. It's fairly extensive. If we missed something, please let us know. The EULA, great bedtime reading. It's pretty standard, nothing too crazy to read in there. Worth a read if you want to understand it. Now, logs is where your compliance officers might also love to live. This is a log of every single activity taken inside of Truvald. Truvald is read-only by default, but it is capable of making changes to your environment. Some of those changes don't require extra steps. Publishing a CRL, no extra steps required, right? Issuing a pending certificate, no extra steps required. Rejecting deleting a failed denied from the database, no extra steps required. But if you want to change a registry setting somewhere, you need to authenticate with an OTP and say what you're doing, and it's going to be tracked. If you're going to launch a scheduled task, manage a scheduled task, it's going to be tracked. If you're going to change a report setting or a background setting, it's going to be tracked. So right off the bat, a PIN is created during the original install of the application to lock out these areas that could inadvertently change the way Truvald interacts in your environment. We're going to go through all of these in greater detail in another video. But for now, this is your high-level view of Truvald. If you liked this video, please thumbs up, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next in the series where we start diving deeper into each of these areas so that you understand why you need Truvald in your organization. Thank you and have a great day.